was coming from anybody else. And it's, I think, the same for any artist working in any field. Sometimes you're more or less constrained by your context, but it's still necessarily there. If you're putting on a play that riffs on a particular set of themes, there is a public conversation outside of all of that that ultimately determines the power, the relevance, and in the eyes of the audience, the worth of your work. That is not really a judgment on the inherent worth of the work, but ultimately comes to colour that. And I think it's one of those unfortunate, inescapable things.
I guess in some respects, it's looking at trend and sentiment. What is the message that you're putting out there? What are you ultimately putting around it? Are you tapping into the sentiment of the audience accordingly? Are you altering that or influencing that? So, Anita, I'm just going to throw that to you to reflect on, because I know in terms of just talking about social change and some of those platforms you have, what have you noticed about those audiences?
Well, I have a range of audiences. I'm followed, for instance, on my blog and on my fan page and on Twitter by librarians, by teacher librarians and educators from primary through to tertiary. I'm followed by publishers and booksellers and students and just general mob as well. So I'm conscious of, some tweets will be relevant and some posts will be relevant to some audiences. But I've had people come up to me at dinners and say, I don't tweet very often, but I read your timeline because it's the only place I get Indigenous content, for instance. So I'm conscious of that. I might put something out that may be relevant to maybe 5 or 50 of my 9,000+ people, but that's okay, because I know this is the only place they're going to hear about Indigenous Literacy Day or whatever ATSI's got going, or Bidgeri and so forth. And I see myself as a facilitator of the conversation between Indigenous arts organisations as well, because I follow them all and I retweet their information. So I see myself as someone to distribute information out to the broader community, because I have a bigger audience than some of those other places. I don't see that this sort of thing will ever end. My day, I have had to teach myself to limit the time to be more, economic in terms of what I put into social media. But again, I get a lot of work out of that as well. So I'll tweet my YouTube, my TEDx, and then I just got a gig in Vienna because somebody had seen the YouTube. Now, YouTube obviously is another form of social media, and you just don't know. That's why I'm always saying to young people, be conscious of what you put in the public domain in social media, because you don't know who's watching it, your future, or may have been your future employer as well. So I get very excited about social media. I want everybody to be excited. There's organisations in this room that I have tweeted or contacted on their social media who never responded. And the problem with social media is you're supposed to be social. It's not meant to be an information dump, which I think, while it is alluded to, it's not just you as an artist or an arts organisation going by